Welcome back everyone, this is my video about Andrew Garfield coming back in the future for more Spider-Man movies as his version of the Amazing Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire is also reportedly coming back again too, along with more of the core characters from their original movies, but I'll start with the Andrew Garfield stuff because he is the first one to actually speak openly about coming back again after Spider-Man No Way Home. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There will be a lot more Spider-Man Multiverse crossover in the Morbius movie later this year, along with a lot more Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield Easter eggs, as we've seen in all the trailers. But careful for spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home if you haven't seen it yet, just because we have to talk about everything that happened during the movie with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's characters. If you've seen people talking about Andrew Garfield coming back for more Marvel movies, more Spider-Man movies, this is the clip that they're referring to. This is him talking about actually coming back to Entertainment Tonight.
Would you do it again? Would you put the suit on if given the opportunity?
I mean, never say never. I mean, it's a character that's always gonna be so meaningful to me and so beautiful to me. And again, it comes back to service, I think if there's a way, because that's what that character is all about. He's all about serving the greater good and serving his fellow people, his fellow, serving humanity and all life, So if there's a way for me to continue to add to the legacy of that character in a way that feels like it's of service to an audience, of service to the themes, the themes that Stan Lee kind of, injected that character with, I'm open, of course. I'm very, very open.
So what he's saying in that interview is he's trying not to give away too much about the plans Sony and Marvel have made. Like he's kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of smiling about it, like, well, can't say too much. But he says as long as the movies they bring him back for are meaningful stories and do service to the true essence of Spider-Man as laid out by Stan Lee, like he literally references making sure that his future cameos in Spider-Man movies would stay true to the way Stan Lee wrote the Spider-Man character. That yes, of course he would come back, like he's always open to coming back. That's about as much as he could say without breaking any kind of confidentiality agreement with Marvel and Sony, but of course they talked about them coming back in a bigger way when they signed them to contracts for Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, do you want to come back for this? And they all said yes, after they got so excited about the way they wrote their characters and what was going on with them in the movie. That right after that, that's when Sony and Marvel say, okay, how about more? Would you be interested in coming back for more? And that all happened a long time ago. Like they had both officially signed their contracts to come back for Spider-Man No Way Home before December of 2019. So they were actually fully on board with the movie a long, long time ago. I know a lot of you are asking, what would the story be for Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man going forward? I've done a couple of Spider-Man No Way Home deleted scenes videos for the post-credit scenes that they had planned to do for Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's versions of Spider-Man, and what was going to happen is that they were going to just use those post-credit scenes to tease what would be happening with their characters next after they went back to their universes. It sounds like they decided not to use those because they just wanted to save that story, like save whatever they would be doing next for the next times that they appeared in new movies. But then bringing Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire on the other side of this back for more movies as their Spider-Man after this just answers a lot of questions about that confusing soup of Easter eggs in the Morbius trailer with all three different versions of Spider-Man. The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man suit with the Tom Holland Mysterio murder plot points, the Tom Holland MCU-looking version of Michael Keaton's Vulture, the Tobey Maguire version of the Daily Bugle but with Easter eggs for Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man villains on it, the Andrew Garfield Amazing Spider-Man version of Oscorp, and the Tom Hardy Venom name drop at the end of the trailer. It's like Sony said, give me references and scenes from every single version of Spider-Man, mix it in a bowl, and we'll call it a movie. I also did a separate Morbius video about all the Morbius Easter eggs in Amazing Spider-Man 2. If you don't remember, Sony was originally intending on introducing a version of Morbius in the Andrew Garfield era of Spider-Man movies. There was also another version of Venom that they had planned on introducing during his Amazing Spider-Man 3 movie. I know a lot of people have been talking about them doing Amazing Spider-Man 3 now. I will address that, but before Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire had been confirmed in Spider-Man No Way Home, you probably saw a bunch of funny theories about the Morbius trailer with all these confusing Easter eggs. Like, people thought that Sony was just drunk at the wheel and throwing a bunch of Easter eggs at the movie without intending on having any of them make sense. But now that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are confirmed back and coming back for more future movies after this, and Spider-Man No Way Home has canonized all their movies and the Tom Hardy Venom movies to this larger Marvel Cinematic Multiverse, Because of that, they don't have to change any of these combo Easter eggs in the Morbius movie. They can just say this Earth that Morbius comes from is yet another universe where their version of Spider-Man looks like this, but their Oscorp looks like the Andrew Garfield version, and they have a bunch of amazing Spider-Man Andrew Garfield villains that Tobey Maguire never faced in his movies, like Rhino and Black Cat. But they can also use a Morbius post-credit scene to, say, cross him over with MCU Tom Holland Spider-Man like they did with Tom Hardy's version of Venom, as to imply that we might see him in the MCU at some point, like a crossover with the new Mahershala Ali Blade character. If you don't remember the first Wesley Snipes Blade movie, they also had a Morbius post-credit scene in that way back in the 90s. That's how long ago they were planning on doing a Morbius Blade crossover. In my Morbius trailer video I did a little while ago, Jared Leto even directly references a larger Spider-Man multiverse and implies there's this huge connection with Spider-Man No Way Home.
The film version of Morbius that we're bringing to you now, he's also a part of a much larger universe. If you've seen the last Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, you know the multiverse has officially opened. And there's all kinds of opportunities for villains to meet up, thrive, and maybe even nurture their more sinister intents. That's all I'm going to say for right now.
So there's just a lot of opportunities for Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire to come back because of all these other Sony movies that they're doing. So on the Marvel MCU side of things, the movies that Andrew Garfield would most likely be coming back for, just based on the way that he's talking about the character coming back, would be like a big Secret Wars Avengers movie. Like, there are rumors now that Marvel is legit pushing for Secret Wars as the next Avengers movie way faster than I ever thought that they would. They're doing so many multiverse characters now between the Spider-Man versions in Spider-Man No Way Home and the reports about all the X-Men Fox characters having cameo scenes in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Clearly, they're building towards a Secret War-style giant multiverse movie. But on the Sony side of things, separately, they have a billion different Spider-Man spin-off movies they're making, like Venom 3, Morbius sequels. There's a Kraven the Hunter movie they're making with Aaron Taylor Johnson. MCU Quicksilver is going to play Sony's Kraven.
You didn't see that coming.
There are also a lot of Kraven the Hunter Easter eggs in the Morbius movie that we'll see, but they haven't appeared in the trailers yet. There's also a Black Cat movie and a Spider-Woman movie that Sony is making too. And they want as much Spider-Man in those movies as they can spare, but Tom Holland has been very clear on his side of things that he doesn't want to do 30 more Spider-Man movies. So the easy solution, now that they have established multiverse versions of Spider-Man, is that during some of these upcoming Sony-driven Spider-Man spin-offs, the version of Spider-Man that they reference, they lean on, can be Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's versions of Spider-Man. Eventually, they'll also introduce a live-action Miles Morales, so he'll turn into another multiverse crossover Spider-Man too. So eventually, you just have a bunch of different versions of Spider-Man you can pick from when you do a new Spider-Man spin-off movie and you want a version of Spider-Man in it. And speaking more about Miles Morales, even though Tom Holland said he also wanted his MCU Spider-Man to be a mentor to a version of Miles Morales someday, and they've already introduced an MCU Miles Morales in Spider-Man Homecoming, they can also use Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in another mentorship type role. There was another clip of Andrew Garfield talking about Spider-Man No Way Home and his relationship with MCU Spider-Man, and it makes me think that he's also waiting for more of a similar mentorship opportunity in a future movie to come back.
Suddenly gets broken open, and these three guys who maybe felt very lonely in the universe before suddenly are aware that they're never alone, they never have been alone, and actually there is a brotherhood out there, and God knows how many more Spider-Man, Peter Parkers there are out there to share in that support group with, because that's what it felt. It started to feel like a kind of like strange Peter Parker Spider-Man support group, like a kind of, you know, like a 12-step program for Spider-Man and Peter Parkers. And the beauty of that, like the beauty of like what the writers crafted and what we all crafted together of trying to, you know, to save our younger brother from, you know, the paths that we have trod. I found that deeply moving. Mentorship, like the theme of mentorship and how these two people across the universe were the only ones that could really fully understand what this young man was going through. And we were just there to kind of support and have a lot of fun. And it was so much fun. I still can't believe it happened.
So clearly they're building a Spider-Man multiverse support group. Like, what do you call this giant group of Spider-Verse characters? Live-action Spider-Verse support group. Let me know in the comments, though, which Marvel movies and which Sony movies do you want to see Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire come back for? When Andrew Garfield comes back, what they'll probably do is just continue to tell the story of his Spider-Man going forward in the timeline, maybe do more flashbacks across multiple movies every time he does come back. And in some of those movies, he'll just be more of a main character, the same way that Marvel has done for the Hulk across the Avengers movies or Thor Ragnarok. I will do more Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man videos if we get more clues about them coming back. I'm also working on a new Avengers 5 video that should post tomorrow. We found out about what most of the new team's roster is going to be and what some of their new costumes will look like. It's pretty cool. Make sure you have alerts enabled for my channel so you don't miss that. Everyone click here to see Tom Holland's Spider-Man symbiote suit and more Spider-Man No Way Home deleted scenes, and click here for that brand new Thor Love and Thunder first look at Rune King Thor. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.